We'll quickly move on to our next session, which is a panel discussion that will be moderated by Deliboche and Mauto. We'll just move on. Our first panelist from if you can move on to the stage one. Please move on to the stage. The next one is Mr. Sabra. To the stage.
Is it?
Mr. Sabra Asante.
Catcher said, "Go find the estimate by Nipano Camus."
Now the only webcam 2 point something meg.
Webcam the Kodo baby or Medjibia, family burial. Yes, I want to tag in as family burial.
Mr. Foster Akubi, kindly move on to the panel. Eric Safuro, please onto the panel. And Prosper Tony, please move on to the panel. They will be giving us various discussions. Okay, so Joshua Ajiman, he is the rep for IoT. Mr. Sabra Asante is the rep for License Producer Group. Roger Accra is the rep for cybersecurity expert, or he's a cybersecurity expert. We all know Mr. Foster Akubi, he's the incubator manager for Stanbic Bank. And also Mr. Eric Safro is the rep for CSO Platform on SDGs. And the final one, Prosper Tony, is the rep for Global Shippers Accra Hub. And so I will quickly just invite Lily and Mauto to moderate the program for us.
Hello, everyone, and good afternoon. This session is, the aim of the session is to get us to understand more our theme and to better position us for the future of work. This is how it's going to play out. We're going to have our panelists answer a couple of questions based on their fields and their expertise. Then we'll have the audience engage them. Right after this, we'll move into breakout sessions to discuss two major parts of our theme, which is youth inclusion and then digital jobs. So we'll break out in this room and we'll discuss. Afterwards, we'll have somebody from the group present. Then we'll do a plenary. So we will be collecting our ideas together with what's going to happen here. And afterwards, we'll present. And then tomorrow also, at the main idea, we'll present what we found out. I also want us to know that even though we have panelists here, we have experts in here too who will also be adding their voice into everything that's said here. Like Mr. Niokai, who is with AITI, he would add up to what's everything that we discussed here. So we are starting quickly, and I would want to ask the question, it runs through everyone before the audience come in. Okay. If we would love that you also ask your questions via that link. And so we'll be reading questions from here and also be engaging you here as well. So the very first one, we've had work with us for a very long time. Has anything changed regarding work from what we had and what is happening now? What has changed regarding work? I'll give the microphone to pass it on. I'll pick another one.
Okay, thank you, Lily. And good afternoon to all of you. Good to be here and to be with all these ladies and gentlemen. As the world of work changed, we're moving from a point in time where we used to rely on, which would be more muscle, to brains, which is more the ability to create and leverage on technology. So there is a massive shift. And if you are not in tune with this shift and you do not move with it, you'll definitely be left behind.
Thank you very much, Roger. Good afternoon to everyone. I want to bring it home a bit in terms of whether the world of work has changed. And when I was going to school, I was given that if you study certain professions, and by the time you finish, you get employment. And now we have nurses going to picket at the Ministry of Health. So, and then we had a minister saying that the civil service is choked. So even if you study certain professions, you're not guaranteed a job in there. So this is one example that shows that, yes, the world of work is changing.
From where I sit, I also think a lot have changed over the past years. I see us to be in an era where most of our brain power is being put to work. So this brain power to have been acquired by checks. So when you look at the likes of Facebook, Uber, Amazon, all these big giant companies are not really relying much on human labor or strength to do their work. So they are relying more on digital tools to do most of the job they're doing now. A case like Jumia. Jumia came to Africa and with little innovation or technology, they are serving the whole African continent. And they are now trading on the stock exchange. But they didn't have to rely on much of African labor. Uber too, for instance, came to Ghana, and with their business model, you see, they are driving change in work, whereby they don't involve much of our human labor here. So I think, yes, a lot is happening in the job space where change has happened a lot.
Well, I'd like to take it from the point of view of has the organizations changed. And it's because jobs, the organizations are the source of the job. Before, organizations used to have huge sales teams go out to do rallies and campaigns and the likes. They set up tents, they come door to door to knock on your door to tell you about their products and services. But today, most organizations are shifting their budgets to investing more in digital marketing. And so the way the marketing department used to work in terms of prioritization is changing. And that means if they are using technology, it is reducing the amount of labor they need to get a lot more of their sales done. And so why would I invest in more salespeople when I can invest in technology which increases the funnel through which I can acquire more customers, instead of getting more people who will get tired eventually, and it means they will not be 100% efficient throughout the day, but I'll still end up paying them way more than I will invest on an ad on Facebook. So yes, jobs are changing, but it's changing significantly because organizations are changing to be more efficient.
Good afternoon, thank you. Obviously, from all that we've been hearing, there's been a lot of change. The change that I just like to mention beyond the technology is the rate of change. I was telling somebody that when I started work, there was nothing like computers. Now we all use computers. But do you know that the day has come where you can put the desktop in your pocket? I think that's a good question, and I've never thought about that for a very long time. But I would speak from the energy perspective because my background is in electrical engineering. But then I get to engage a lot of youth, and I've seen some tremendous change. For the past maybe 10 years ago, we've still been relying on energy production from a hydro space. Right now, we realize a lot of people are going to renewable, but also looking at other sorts of means to generate energy in the space. That is also affecting customer point and as well the company's aspect as well. So I would say that there's a lot of change coming in the line of work in terms of technology and as well helping people discover the top-notch solutions that need to be built in this era, and then it's also making them more efficient in what they do. So there is a lot of change.
Okay. What I want us to talk about now is digital jobs. What are the common misconceptions about youth in digital jobs, especially considering security and the use of technology? How can we combat these misconceptions and how can we communicate more effectively? That's basically to say that how can we tell people that yes, there are risks on the internet, but this is what you can do to make the best out of it?
Well, I would say that during my national service period, I had the opportunity to work with R&D. And, you know, a lot of times people think those who study computer science should get access to all the digital platforms and all of that. But like we are saying that someone who happens to work in sales needs to also take on other skills that is required. Someone who used to work in project management needs to take another skill that will help him or her to better understand the scope of what they're doing. The misconception will always be there because people would have to find a way to dilute and distill and understand that things are changing. So we don't have to work the manual, we need to see how efficient we move. So they need to understand that this product or this solution that is being built out of this technology is helping people. At the end of the day, the end goal, what they intend to achieve, is faster than doing it the old way. So they need to understand that misconception needs to be broken down. They need to understand that the positive side of technology that they have and how that is improving life, either in health, agriculture, or other space. That's the only way we can get to the next level of improving the way we do things around.
So before Dr. Sabra goes, I just want to add that. So we are talking about how we can correct this misconception and how we can build an internet of trust where people are free to work despite all the threats. How do we do that?
Okay, so perhaps this one makes it very easy for me. I think we need to join communities. I belong to a community, so if I know you and the third person and the fourth person, then you're very safe because I know you, the first person in the chain. So one of the issues is community. That makes it very easy for me. Of course, for this one, remember, I have a resource person back to help. But I think the dangers go from one extreme of thinking that it's just like the traditional world, right to the other extreme of thinking like it's like magic. You can just get on there and it will happen. And one of the things I was trying to stress is that you need to get involved in the area. I don't know whether you can hear me. You need to get involved. You can't just get up and get that job. So how does that happen? It happens by volunteering.
Thank you very much. I'm a volunteer by nature as well. You can call me to come and volunteer. Well, I see it from this point, and I think most fundamental, everybody needs to be digital, to be able to do a digital job is, let's use mobile phones as an example. Know how to operate a mobile phone. Just 2 days ago, I think a report was released around the success of mobile money, Ghana being the fastest mobile money economy in the whole of Africa, or wherever mobile money technology is being employed. And this goes to tell you how significant and how significant the adoption of digital technology or mobile technology is moving in Africa. Now, your father or your grandfather who lives in the village and has never been to school before can access these services because there are things like voice SMS, there are things like speaking, they translate it into local language and all of that. And so we get to operate these things. Now, for you to start a business today, you don't need a brick and mortar office like before. You don't need to have a physical presence somewhere for somebody to trust you to provide a service for him or her. Most of you here shop on Instagram, shop on Facebook. There's the emergence of a new concept called social commerce. And that's a new evolution from the traditional e-commerce we used to know. So the delivery service guy now works with the person who does hair, who weaves hair, and then puts it on Instagram. You see it, you go and tell the person, I like it, you negotiate, you agree on a price. You both agree on a third-party delivery service provider who you both don't know, but you tend to trust because the system seems to work. And so in terms of creating trust, it's actually something we need to mutually agree on. And like you said, you need to be a part of the community. So long as you find yourself doing something like that, it means you believe the system works and you can trust it. And so it's up to us to build that trust. But then again, insecurity on things like Tonaton and Co, where people get fraud and all of that, it's becoming very rampant. And the likes of the cybersecurity agency and Co, I think they are becoming more proactive in terms of putting in measures. I remember I've been called about 3 to 4 or 5 times by the Data Protection Agency to register my website on their system because we collect data. And I felt that was a very proactive measure because every time they called, had not registered at the time. It means they were keeping track and they knew who wasn't on their system but already exists in the market. And I'm sure from time to time, as the government is centralizing everything and we are building proper filters around the internet, we'll be able to clearly tell who is fraudulent and who is not.
So to add to what has been said, I also think that we should have branding. We recognize Sakaba or internet scam because of the way they brand themselves. So if we can also brand, we have a freelancing. We don't necessarily have to have traditional way of work. So with freelancing, you can even be in a bedroom and still do work overseas and get paid. Payment system has been built. Platform has been built to source for job. So I think communities should brand the new way of work with the misconception that even in the house, you can still work. I think today, if you should be doing all your work from the house, your parents will even be happy. They would like to see you bath, wash up, and then go to work. That's what they see as work. So we have to solve the new way of working to them to help with this misconception.
Picking it from the work perspective, some misconceptions are that employers can use technology and do away with employees, and employees are afraid that technology will take their place. But we can actually control technology. And so we can use technology to serve our interests and serve our needs and make us more productive than ever before. And so when we get into technology and we are able to use it to serve our needs, both as employers and as employees, then we are able to do away with the technology and misconceptions. I know that some people have been bitten, and not only twice, and so they are more shy than ever to even venture again. But then that's where you look for the credible sources like branding, where you'll be able to now use it. But then the disadvantage is that more credible sources are the big corporate organizations. And so we need a system that supports the up and coming technologians to be able to now set up in a way that they can be trusted. And it all comes back to being part of a community where you can be certified that you have good products that when it's used, nobody will get bitten.
Thank you. So I see the question is twofold, really. What misconceptions exist? Now, most up-and-coming young people believe that because they know how to use Facebook and they're on Instagram, and because they know how to play Need for Speed, they would naturally fit into the digital economy. That's a huge misconception. You still require a certain amount of discipline to learn the skills that will become valuable. So the fact that you have a phone which has a nice processor and lots of memory and a big and nice camera with all the megapixels that come with it does not naturally inure you to the new digital economy. You require discipline to learn and evolve. So that's one misconception that I think young people should go away from. The digital economy normally is categorized into three areas. Work that is technology assisted, so you can literally do it manually, but technology aids it. There's something in the middle, which is where that technology more enables than just assists. And there's work where technology is the core. So if you're a developer, for example, you are at the top of the food chain. Now, you don't start from Facebook and become a developer. You will have to evolve through disciplined work and climb up the ladder and then become useful. So in respect of misconceptions, that is one. Now, when it comes to trust, see, as the world moves digital, trust will become the currency that runs it. Because I would not know you personally. Trust doesn't scale outside physical communities in the way it did in the past. When you wanted to get married, maybe 100 years ago, your parents would go and look for a family, they would investigate the family, figure out that they don't have any issues, and they'll bring you a bride or a groom. These days, people go onto online dating sites. Hi, swipe left, swipe right, and get married. So the evolution of trust into the digital economy is a totally different animal. Now, for example, look at Uber. Uber, when you take an Uber ride, asks you to rate the guy whose ride you just got into. But